Okay, so some of these questions you can go see the counseling episode to get, because we sort of talked about therapy and counseling and some of those same questions.
Yeah.
And so go to that one. But this is the question I want to ask you next. So now we're getting into it, and you're in trouble.
Great.
Yay. All right. So Christian therapy or Christian counseling versus non-Christian counseling. Okay, so if a non-Christian person came up to you and said, hey, I'm considering therapy.
Right.
And you were going to tell them who you thought they should see. Would you recommend a non-Christian person see a non-Christian therapist since their worldviews align? Or would you recommend a non-Christian person go to a Christian therapist because you're a Christian and you want to make them be Christian while also getting them help?
Okay. Well, there's no guarantee that two non-Christian people will have the same worldview to begin with.
True.
So I don't think that's part of the equation.
Okay.
But obviously as a Christian,
yes,
and one who holds a Christian worldview, I personally would like everyone to see a Christian counselor, right? Not that I'm saying that every non-Christian counselor is bad by any means, but what I do know is, again,
therapist.
Therapist. It's getting down to the idea of, well, if you're talking to someone, what they believe about morality, what they believe about identity, what they believe about truth and purpose, all of those things would matter to me in talking with a therapist.
Okay.
So therefore, I'd recommend someone that I felt like would have a truthful worldview on purpose and morality and identity.
But how is that not you trying to like if I'm a non-Christian person dealing with a thing,
right,
and I need to see a therapist,
right?
Why am I having to convert to a religion in the process?
Yeah, no, but you're not having to convert to a religion. I'm not even talking about religion, right? I'm just talking about a worldview. There's a lot of people that are not Christian that hold parts, at least, of Christian worldviews. So you have individuals that would say that they are, that they hold to a good, they have good morals, or they're a good moral person. So they may not even be a follower of Jesus, but they may have used Christianity to help inform what morality is for them.
Okay.
And so that's where, I guess, for me, if you're going to talk to someone and you're talking about whether it's dealing with a spouse or dealing with your kids or even dealing with grief, all of those things, to me, I think are, you find it better when it's dealing with it, when you're dealing with those things in the context of a worldview that I would believe to be true, right?
Okay.
Because again, they're going to see marriage through a lens that I believe to be truthful. They're going to see raising kids or dealing with grief in a way that I believe to be truthful because of their worldview. And so that's why I would recommend it. And I have no problem saying that. And I'm not saying if they go to a non-Christian therapist, they're going to receive terrible counsel. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I know that, because of the Christian counselors that I know around this area, hey, I can recommend you to one. And I know they're going to give you good, solid, counseling and therapy. And it's going to come from a Christian worldview. So
okay, because
I don't think it has to be religion. You have to be, convert.
Because I know that there's non-Christian people that if I ask them to go to a therapist, they'd be like, hey, definitely do not go to a Christian because they won't help you.
Mm-hmm.
They'll just push you toward Christianity and make that the fix.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that would be an incorrect view of the way that Christian therapists handle their clients.
Is it though?
Yeah. I don't think they're always going to push you toward God. I think they're going to push you toward what they believe to be truth, and
which is God,
which obviously is rooted in God. And but even things like AA are appealing to a higher power, right?
Okay.
And
is that
so
therapy?
it's group counseling, right?
Okay.
And so I think that, and again, originally it wasn't even just higher power, right? It was actually
I thought AA
God.
was a cult.
No, like Alcohol Anonymous?
Yeah.
Or, no. AA is not a cult.
But they want you to be anonymous. That's kind of culty.
Yeah, but they're not hiding. They don't believe they're not like a cult that believes that they have these secrets of knowledge or secrets about God that only they know that they're not going to share with everybody else.
They might.
But
have you been to one?
They don't. No. I've never been to an AA meeting.
Okay.
No. But I've got really good friends that go to AA meetings. So.
All right.
Yeah. But. So, no, I think.
So your friends are in cults, is what you're
No, they're not in cults.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
What is a higher power? It's kind of culty language.
Yeah, it's a way to refer to obviously a divine being without having to straight up just say God, because somehow that's become offensive. But what's kind of interesting is so many AA meetings or NA meetings actually meet in churches.
Yeah.
So you're like, you kind of know,
okay,
like that's what they're referring to. So,
all I know is whenever you drive by an AA meeting, they're all outside smoking.
That has been your scientific research.
Yes. It's like they switched the sauce for
Yeah.
cigarettes, or they always did cigarettes while they were drinking. And
Right.
now they're just like, this is all I have.
Hey, man.
I have to do this every day now.
Hey, man. One demon.
All the time.
One demon at a time. Right. So, but no. So, yeah. And again, I don't want to come across like non-Christian, therapists, again, are all bad, are going to lead people just horribly astray. I'm not saying that. But I just know for Christian counselors that I know that what they're going to offer. And yeah, and some of them may talk to them about God and talk to them about how God can be part of their healing journey. So,
okay, so next question. Or maybe not the next question.
Okay.
All right. Non-Christians. This is from you, a Christian person.
Okay.
All right. Non-Christians going to non-Christian therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Does it work?
Sure, it can work. Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, it can work.
But
Absolutely.
they don't have God, and they
You're
don't
right.
have the right worldview. So how's it work?
Well, again, I'm not saying it can't work, right? Because when you're dealing with things like trauma, abuse, right? Like there are even things like it doesn't have to be like that extreme, like anxiety,
Okay.
There are counseling techniques and counseling methods that very much can help an individual process their trauma or process their feelings of anxiety, process why they may be having, if they're having panic attacks, and help you move through that. Like I've got a book, it's a good sized book on anxiety and on my bookshelf. Okay. It's written from a non-Christian perspective. And it has been an incredible resource in helping, for me as a pastor, and helping counsel individuals that deal with anxiety.
Okay.
And so, no, there's a lot of great, and I would say this, like, so for example, when I was an undergrad.
Is anxiety real?
Oh, 100%.
Are we sure?
100%.
But if everyone has it, then is it real? Or is it just normal?
Yeah. Not everyone has the anxiety where they're constantly feeling a fight or flight feeling in their body. And that's what you're talking about with anxiety. Like where it's this, anxiety is this part where it's like fight or flight. And it's like adrenaline rushes, right?
Okay.
And it's usually triggered by, it could be as simple as a smell, or it could be a memory, or it could be something that's just, reminds you of something. But individuals that are constantly dealing with anxiety, constantly dealing with like their fight or flight adrenaline rushes that they're having, and maybe they feel like they're on the edge like every day, like that's real for people. And so, yeah, anxiety is absolutely real.
Okay, fine, but it seems like everybody has it now.
And in fairness, I don't think you're necessarily wrong about the way that word has begun to be just thrown about.
Okay.
Like, I'm anxious. Okay, well, you're anxious in the moment, but that doesn't mean you're living as an anxious person, right? I think that's a big distinction. Like, yes, every one of us probably experiences moments of anxiety. Okay, but that's very different than living with anxiety. It's like depression. Every one of us have moments where we feel really down and we want to isolate and those kind of things. But that's very different than having a moment like that or just a period like that versus, I'm living that way. So no, I think those things are real.
Well,
all right. So
trying not to offend anyone. I'm just asking questions.
I know. You're just asking questions.
Because it seems like everyone and their grandsister has anxiety now.
Their grandsisters?
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, but I think, and that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of people begin to use words. They become common in our language when they used to mean very specific things.
Yes.
First, and so yes, I do agree that there are people that use that word like they've diagnosed themselves or they've labeled themselves as having I've got anxiety. Okay, you might, but let's talk about what you mean when you say that.
Non-Christian therapy.
Oh yeah, and the fact that non-Christian therapists can actually do really good work.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely they can.
Okay.
Yeah, they can again. They're taught methods. They're taught procedures. I guess what I was going to say was when I was an undergrad, one of the things that, when you're studying individuals like Freud and Erickson and others, one of the things that I walked away from was like, man, a lot of their observations were really good. Like their observing of human behaviors and human interactions are really good. It was the conclusions that I found lacking. And so I think that's one of the things that for me, so you can go to a therapist and they can help identify the issue, the observation, but then, all right, but why is that there? And that conclusion may not always be the same that a licensed Christian therapist may derive to, or it might be. Or even if the conclusion is like, oh, we agree of why it's there. Now, how do we deal with it?
Okay.
What is the therapy going to actually look like and entail? That might be a little different. So, but it doesn't mean that a non-therapist can't help people, or a non-Christian therapist, can't help people.